Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. What if I told you there's something that you can do to transform your life without dramatic effort and actions? Yes, I'm talking about habits. In this video, I'd like to talk about the science behind habit formation, some of the practical strategies that you can use for creating good ones and break the bad ones, and some of the practical and useful tips for you. Let's get started. Let's dive into introduction to habit formation. What is a habit? Habit is a small action that's repeated over time until it becomes automatic. At first, you have to put in some effort in order to create a habit or change one, and then after you are doing that habit consistently, it will become automatic. So when it becomes automatic, you don't need to put in a lot of efforts because it's automatic and it can be done unconsciously. So it's amazing, yeah? So our first challenge is to create or change a habit. This is something that we are looking for, how we can create good habits and how we can break the bad ones. And we have to consider this point that small and consistent changes finally could lead us to significant transformation. So many people ignore this point that this is a small, these kind of habits, these kind of tiny efforts can lead us to this significant transformation. But this is the reality. Over time, it's compound effect and it adds up for each step. So when you're doing that actions, when you're doing that habits, it becomes more stronger. So, and finally, over time, it leads you to significant transformation. So we have to consider about some of the foundation of habit change. I already told you that the small changes compound over time. So don't consider just one day itself. We have to consider that this compound effect that we will see the result over time, not just in 1 day or 10 days. This is something that we call consistent efforts, consistent actions that help us for great improvement. So if you are great in mathematics, you can just consider that 1% improvement daily. At the end of the year, we would be better for 37 times. Let me write it for you, 37 times. So this is a mathematic that you can calculate on your own, that if we have 1% improvement daily, at the end of the year, we would be better for 37 times. This is really important. So rather than just focusing on massive action or massive efforts for doing something, we have to consider incremental progress. We have to focus on progress rather than just dramatic or massive action or efforts in order to change something. And there is a very important challenging that you may come across when you're creating habits or changing them. This is a plateau of latent potential. We call them valley of disappointment. At the first stage of habit formation, you don't see so much changes and progress, so it could lead you to disappointment. So please consider this is a temporal stage that after a while you can pass it, but please don't stuck in the plateau of latent potential. This is the place, this is the exact time that people give up about creating habits. So please consider this point. There is a very special concept here about goal-oriented and system-oriented thinking. We already talked about goals and systems in another video about goal setting, and I really encourage you to see that video as well. But here, as a very summarized explanation, I'd like to discuss about goals and systems. Goals, we should consider goals as compass. Okay, it provides us direction. What is our direction? Where should I go? Okay, where is my destination? And this is my initial point, and where is my destination? I have to consider the direction, and goals act like compass. But systems, this is very important part in my perspective, is much more important than goals, is about the series of actions, tasks and routines that we are doing on daily basis. So it's actually based on routines, what we are doing in each day. So we have to consider our goal. Okay, this is my direction, this is my destination, and based on my destination, I create my habits, I create my routines, and I try to doing them. And instead of focusing on the goal itself, We focus on the steps. We focus on habits that we are creating or changing in order to achieve that goal. So system allows us for creating consistent routines, something that you're doing every day, for example. This is really important. So system is based on consistent efforts. It's based on consistent routines, habits, daily actions, and other aspects like this. But goals is about the campus. So after setting goal, we have to focus on system. Everything, it depends on systems, and in an exact time that you just find out, okay, oh my goodness, my goal is not correct, so you have learned a lot about how to create consistent routine, how to create habits, so you can just change the habits for another direction. Consider this point that every effort that you're putting are useful even for changing direction. So now is the time to find out the foundation of habit loop. This is a really important part. Please focus on this part very, very precisely. The habit loop involves 4 stages: cue, craving, response, and reward. I like to zoom in order to be more visible for you. Cue, craving, response, and reward. Cue is something that triggers your habit. Let me give you some examples. You see ice cream in the refrigerator and then you wanna eat that ice cream. So seeing that ice cream is a cue. When you see the book in the shelf, you might like to read some papers. So seeing that book again is another cue. So something that triggers to start doing that habit. This is about cue. About craving, it means your motivation, your desire to do that. For example, if you do that habit, you will be happier, you will be more healthier, I don't know, you feel better. For example, if I eat ice cream, I will feel better. So all of this could be craving. Or if I read a book, I will be satisfied about myself. That's okay, I did something useful for myself. I train myself, so it could be satisfaction. Response is the habit itself. When you're doing that habit, it means that you're responding. And finally, we have reward, the satisfaction that you get after completing that habit. Another crucial point about how we can create habits is 4 laws of behavior change. There are 4 rules that you have to consider when you want to create habits. And don't worry about the bad habits. I will provide you explanation about how we can break the bad ones. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Make it obvious. If you want to do something, if you want to create a habit, try to make it obvious. For example, if you want to read books more, you just have to place books in different places of your home. It means that you will see books in so many places in your home. Or for example, you sit on a particular chair or behind a particular desk, even at your work. So place your book on that table, place your book next to your chair or any places that you can see it constantly. It makes you read it more because it's visible. You all the time are seeing these books. And I can give you another example that is really important in my perspective. If you're a person who is using, for example, Instagram or YouTube channels, I will recommend you to follow some of the athletes, for example, if you want to do more exercise. And when you're scrolling and there are so many, unfortunately, not useful content on that social medias, but you can see some athletes and it could be a motivation for you and it could be a trigger for you in order to exercise more. So make it obvious. Another is make it attractive. For example, if you want to do exercise, buy some of the beautiful and new clothes for yourself. Something that can attract you, something that can be beautiful to catch your eyes, for example, to do that things. For example, if you want to read more, you can just decorate the desk that you want to read, for example, these different LEDs or etc. in order to make it attractive. For myself, for example, I try to use RGB on my desk in order to be more creative, in order to be more attractive for myself, to sit behind my desk and working a lot. So different things could be done in this matter, and make it attractive is so important, and obvious as well. Make it obvious and make it attractive is so important. Another is about make it easy. Try to decrease frictions. Make it easier as much as you can. For example, if you want to exercise tomorrow, try to prepare your clothes today, so it could save your time, and of course, reduce the friction, or place your clothes next to your shoes in order to motivate you up to do exercise. So lower the frictions. It's really important. Or for example, if you want to read books, you can just place your books beside yourself rather than, for example, place it in another shelf in another room. Place them next to yourself or in a place that lowers the frictions. And finally, we have make it satisfying. Try to provide yourself immediate reward. For example, about myself, I created papers in order to check the box whenever I accomplish my task in each day. So I just check it out, and it feels great when I'm doing this. And after seeing the whole table of so many checking out, so it could be satisfying for me. Or you can just provide yourself immediate reward. I don't know, about self-compassion. Oh, I did it. I'm proud of myself. Or some phrases like this. I know it could be ridiculous for you, but all of these are science-based explanation, guys. Self-compassion is really important. That's so many people don't have them. So please consider this point, that provide yourself immediate reward. Just like bad habits that provide you immediate reward, so for good habits as well. But unfortunately about bad habits, despite that they provide us immediate rewards or immediate satisfaction, but unfortunately in the long term it provides us so many problems. It leads to so many problems and issues. Let me talk about advanced strategies for habit formation. These are very practical and useful strategies that you can use for creating habits. Habit stacking is very smart strategy in my opinion. It means that pairing new habit with existing one. For example, every night we brush our teeth, okay? After brushing our teeth, we can pair another habit. For example, we can read a book, or we can meditate for 10 minutes, and etc. Any good habit that you want to create. So pair a new habit to an existing one. Environment design, I already talked about it in different aspects, but in whole, try to create a supportive environment for yourself. Be architect of your life. Try to create supportive environment. I already told you, for example, make it attractive. If you get bored when you are working in a mess room, so try to clean it. Place the books that you want to read beside yourself in the places that you can see them constantly. Or I don't know, you can even use other friends and family help as well. For example, consult with them and try to incorporate with them, and etc. So try to create a supportive environment and about the people as well. And another point about advanced strategy is phase-based planning. It's so crucial, and this is an explanation from Dr. Andrew Huberman that I like to mention his name. I learned a lot from him. He considered that we have 3 phases in our day: morning, midday, and evening. About our first 8 hours after waking up, we have to consider high focus tasks. For example, if you want to study, or if you want to work hardly, something that requires a lot of, for example, concentration or high focus tasks. So consider those tasks for the first 8 hours of your day. We call them morning phase. But we have to consider this point that maybe some people sleep in the morning and they work in the midnight, okay? We have different categories of people about the time of waking up or going to the bed. So we have to consider that first 8 hours after waking up. If you, for example, if you wake up at 2 p.m., it's absolutely fine. Try to do the most high concentration task in the first phase, 8 hours after waking up, 2 p.m., until 10 p.m. So this is your first phase, and etc. guys. And about the midday routine or creative task, these are the tasks that take less energy and time from you. So it could be fine for you to focus on routine and creative tasks. It depends on your needs and preference, but try to get the most productive in the first 8 hours of your day. In this example, morning. And finally, we have evening, about the restorative actions like exercising, I don't know, like spending time with our family or friends and etc., or stretching exercises, or it could be about reading a book, meditation, and etc. These are somehow restorative actions. Another amazing part of this tutorial is about breaking unwanted habits, or we can call them bad habits. We can 4 strategies that you can use them in order to break them. You have to identify what prompts that habit, what triggers that habit. It's really important to find out the root causes of that habit. Okay? For example, if my phone placed next to me, I try to scrolling down Instagram Explorer. So one thing that I can do in order to prevent this habit, place my phone, for example, in another room, in another place that is far away from me. It could be a great strategy for me. Another is increase friction. It means that to make it harder to do. If you want to prevent yourself to eating sweet things, you can just not buying them. So you are increasing friction because you have to go to the store and then buy the stuff that you wanted and return. So there are so many things that you have to do in order to gain them. So increase friction. Again, about checking your phone, you can just place it in a desk in another room. So you have to spend some time in order to get your phone and checking and scrolling on Instagram Explorer. So increase friction, it means that make it harder for yourself. And sometimes I just tested that. I put it in another closet and I just locked it down, and in the next time my brain just was telling me, oh my goodness, I have to consume so much energy. Replacement strategies again is very useful. Instead of just removing bad habits or eliminating them, that is very hard to do, and my recommendation is please don't do this. We have to replace them with a positive one. For example, when you are lying down on your bed, when you want to scroll the Instagram, you can just read some papers of your book. It could be a great strategy. And finally, gradual disengagement. Guys, consider this point that in our brain, something that we call for habits is neural pathway, okay? By each time, anytime that you try to do that habit and skip that action, every time that you're trying to prevent that habit happening and skip that time, you are weakening the neural pathway. So it's really important to not be disappointed. Anytime that you're trying, you are just weaken your neural pathway. It means that you are weaken the connection. I don't want to talk about neuroscience in this moment, but consider that each effort, each try, of course, weaken the connection and make it easier to break that habit. So please don't give up. A very precious point from Atomic Habits of James Clear is identity-based habits. This mind map that I've created, so much information that I'm talking about, is from Atomic Habits book, but this is a really important part that we have to consider our identity, okay? Instead of just saying that, for example, I wanna do exercise, we can change it, we can align it with the identity that we wanna become. For example, instead of saying that I wanna exercise, I can say I wanna become an athlete. I wanna have a healthier, for example, body. Okay, so I consider identity based because when I am considering about a desired person that I want to become, it motivates me up in order to create and maintain those habits. So it's really important to focus on identity based habits. We explore so much information and I like to recap as well, but some of the points that you can just take it for now is focus on system, not just goals. I already told you that goals about the compass, about the direction, and system is about the routine, about the consistent action that you want to do on your daily basis. So focus on system, not just goals. And consider about incremental progress for long-term impact. Guys, don't forget that small and consistent actions could lead to significant transformation and automatic success. Don't underestimate small and tiny habits. Align habits with identity for greater commitment. I already told you that consider the desired person that you want to become, and align those habits with the person that you want to be. Consider the environment, the place that you are living, even at the work, even in the office, or any place that you're living, and try to create connection with friends that are aligned with your values, and even your family if they're supportive. And celebrate progress to sustain motivation. For even small progress, try to reward yourself in order to signal your brain that it's the habit that it has to stick with it. And consider setbacks as learning opportunities and prioritize consistency. Anything that happened in our progress could be a learning opportunity for us, guys. Learn from them rather than giving up. And of course, we have to prioritize consistency. Consistency is the only secret for successfulness. If you want to be successful, you have to have consistency. And this is the most problem that so many people, and even myself, are struggling with, that we don't have consistency when we created something. Because creating habits is something normal, is something that is easy, but maintain that habits is very crucial. So I'm just showing you the whole mind map. Introduction to habit formation. These are about the small actions that repeated over time until they become automatic and needs less consciousness and less effort. At first could be energy consuming, but after a while it could be automatic. We have to consider that small changes compound over time. We shouldn't focus on one day. We have to consider a set of period of time, and we focus on incremental progress rather than the massive actions that only takes, for example, a short period of time and won't lead us to significant successfulness. On plateau of latent potential is a valley of disappointment, the first stage of habit formation that so many people give up. We have to focus on systems. What we use goals as a direction. Systems are series of actions and daily routine and consistent actions that we are doing on daily basis. About the habit loop: cue, craving, response, and reward. Cue, something that triggers that habit. Craving, about the motivation that our brain predicts for doing that habit. Response is the behavior itself, that the habit that you're doing. And reward is the satisfaction that you get after completing that habit. And about the behavior change, you can use 4 great rules: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. I think that they are straightforward. And some of the advanced strategies: habit stacking, pairing new ones with the existing one is really important. Please don't forget it. And environment design: be architect of your life, about the home, about the place that you're working, about the supportive friends, supportive family, and etc. And about the Dr. Andrew Huberman, phase-based planning from Dr. Andrew Huberman. Try to do the high focus habits at the first 8 hours after waking up. Even it could be in the midday. It's just a sample, guys. Don't be confused about it. If you're, for example, waking up at midday, so you have to do them on midday. Okay, just consider 3 parts: and high focus task in the morning, routine or creative tasks on midday, and restorative actions in the evening. And about the breaking bad ones, we have to identify triggers. What prompts the habits? So we have to find them and eliminate them. Increase friction, we have to make it harder to do. And when it's triggered to do that bad habit, we can replace it with a positive one. And gradual disengagement, I talked about neural pathway, that any effort that you're putting in order to prevent yourself for doing that bad habit, just weaken that neural pathway, weaken that connection, and make it easier to eliminate or change that habit. And identity-based habits try to create habits that align with the person who you want to become. If you want to do exercise 3 times in a week, you have to consider that I want to become an athlete, for example. Thank you guys, thank you. I'm sorry that this video is very overwhelming and I provided you so much information, but of course, if you stick with these strategies and if you apply them to your daily basis and consider the systems and goals and other strategies that I mentioned, I'm sure that you will have automatic successfulness. Thank you guys. I hope that you found this video helpful. Take care. Love you. Bye bye.